Hi, and welcome to our third grade PLC team. My name is Lindsay Fohl, and I'm going to be sharing with you our slides for today with a proposal that I have for implementing non-traditional instruction lessons within our third grade team based on research-based articles that I've read, data from last year with our first ever NTI experience as a district. And then I'm just going to kind of walk you through a meeting agenda to start with, and then we will go from there. So thank you all for joining us today. Please refer to the video at the bottom where you will see me presenting this, and then you can also refer to the slides as I'm guiding you through those. So this is my proposal for implementing non-traditional instruction lessons for our third grade PLC meeting, and it is also based from some coursework that I'm doing in my literacy specialist program. So what we're going to go over today is I'm going to start with a meeting agenda, my vision statement as an educator and teacher leader in PLCs, a problem statement that I noticed that we could grow on as a team and a district for the NTI process, some articles to support non-traditional instruction, and intervention process. The first one that I think we need to address is how we're going to get technology into the hands of students and support them. And then the second intervention is how can we support our teachers better if our school year is to start this way. I have collected some data that we were able to obtain from the first week of NTI, and it's kind of comparing packet usage and technology usage for our students. And I kind of want you to see how that first week of NTI drastically changes in that post-assessment data in that last week of NTI. So we're going to kind of look at that and then talk about things that we didn't do that we could grow in based on my proposal. I also have a reflection that I will share with you all at the end of our meeting today, and we'll also go over some next steps. So I'm going to tell you the purpose of our PLC again, and that's just to kind of go over some NTI, new ideas, and just an action plan that I have based on some achievement gaps that I noticed. And again, I'll go over my vision statement and then break down each item that I talked to you about a moment ago. As a teacher leader, it is my vision to inspire you guys and other educators to grow professionally, personally, and I want to be a resource for you. By collaborating with you all as my PLC team, I hope that you all feel encouraged to always strive to apply the best teacher practices which are effective and engaging for our students. In my classroom, students should feel respected, loved, and safe, and there is always going to be outstanding rapport with my students, the families, and the staff members at our school and in the district. Diverse learning opportunities are always available for students, and that will always include the implementation of multicultural lessons that will require student application in order to successfully prepare them for the real world, to be lifelong learners and critical thinkers in our society. So the problem that I noticed for an area of growth that I did my gap work on was that non-traditional for teachers is a solution for us to provide effective classroom instruction to students, but it was over an 8-week time frame, which we did not plan or expect. So our job is to make sure that there is no achievement or instructional gap in our school district. And that's what NTI helps us do. But because we did not plan and we were not trained for that or to prepare for that, which we couldn't have, my action plan is going to kind of help us with that. And if we are to start school with non-traditional instruction next year, I have some tips and tools that might help us. Online in our school, we know that NTI started off very staggered, and we were working really hard to implement the best instruction for students to close that gap of instruction and achievement during that 8 weeks time frame. But as it continued to go on, I know we had all spoken about, we noticed lack of motivation. Students were not completing online assignments, so we couldn't give that quick feedback turnaround. Some parents would tell us they would pick up packets and then they wouldn't. We would have to deliver them. And the parents that did do packet work, or the kiddos that would bring those back, because we had to quarantine them for so many weeks, we as teachers could not give that immediate feedback like we would do in the classroom. So I know we talked about the difference between packet work and online work, and just how it was so much easier for students to feel like they were growing and learning because they were getting that immediate feedback from us. So what are we going to do to get that technology into students' hands? Because that is the biggest goal. That's what we need to do. That's the first intervention that we could not do last year for NTI because we didn't have the resources. It was new to us. We didn't know who to reach out to. So how do we get technology into every student's hands as much as possible? So first, we need to start by conducting the NTI survey, and I have an example later that I'm going to show you just like we did, but I have one that's tweaked a little bit that we can give to parents to see what we need to purchase. We need to budget money for neighborhood hotspots that I think will be good, or even individual families, because some kiddos have 4 or 5 kids in a family and they can use that one hotspot. Create Wi-Fi accessibility locations and readily available lists around the school for families. So we can set up multiple areas in our school that can connect to our server and provide Wi-Fi for our families, but we just didn't have time to prepare for that last year. So right from the get-go, we will set those up. We can type up a local list of places like Panera Bread, Starbucks, the Barnes & Noble. Now that those places are open, they can go and do their work there wirelessly. Reach out to local phone companies for internet access for free, see if they would provide that based on the results from the technology survey. And then we also need to let students check out Chromebooks. I feel like we could work with our library media specialist and develop a waiver for them as they check in and check out, saying they're responsible for any damages. And I feel like that would hold them more accountable to take care of those Chromebooks. The intervention process, so the second intervention we would need to do is to help our teachers. So next month, in the month of July, we know that for a whole year, we have to complete a total of 24 hours of PD a year. So my proposal to kind of, again, tools to help us close those NTI instructional gaps is at least 8 of those should be dedicated to focusing on what if something like the coronavirus happens again, how can we be prepared? Participating in programs like Screencastify, Google level certified teachers, and our district could fund that training so that we can have students score their work through Google Sheets, because a lot of teachers, because this happened within 3 days last year, they didn't know how to use Google because it wasn't required. So I think right from the get-go, when our kiddos come back to school, we start a Google Classroom and they know, hey, that's what we used at school. And if there's a snow day or if we do have to start with the NTI, our students are familiar, teachers have had the training, we've gotten certified in those, and I think that that will help our teachers to have instructional tools and the applications that they need to provide effective learning for our students. I also think we need to have weekly PLCs to create lesson plans that will have pre-planned assessments, again, that can go on a Google Sheet, a Google form that students can quickly, once they have that internet access, fill out and turn in. And then I think we need to make it simplistic, focus on a skill, a question, not so overwhelming for parents. But if we get together and dedicate those 8 hours to NTI training preparation, assessing, creating assessments, I think from the get-go, we would feel more confident in being ready for this. So examples of ways we could get certified: Screencastify, Google Meets. We need to learn about Hangouts. We need to help our families learn about Hangouts and try to meet with them every day, 2 to 3 times a day, just like we would in school. We need to video record ourselves live so that the kiddos can see us and know that we are still here, we support them, and walk them through the lessons that we have pre-planned for them. FaceTime calls, and we need to have a check-off list: who we talked to, when, what did we address? Was it a whole group? Was it individual? Just like you would do in the classroom. That should still be the same. But if we come up with a game plan and everybody's on the same page and we're prepared for it, that will get us on consistent level, and I think will be more effective. We need to also develop strategies for those parents that we struggle to reach out to getting a hold of. Are they having trouble getting internet? With that internet support intervention process that I came up with, we can help them with that to meet their technology needs. I'm going to open up a window on Google to kind of show you data that was collected last year for the NTI process, and it was the week of March 18th. We only had 3 days to prepare, and I kind of put this together, and you'll see that the students that are highlighted in teal were the students who completed online work, and you can see each subject of work they completed, and then the students that were in yellow were the packet students. So I'm going to click on this, and it's going to take you to another screen, and it's just a quick overview so you can see, okay, so look at how many paper packet kiddos we had. If it will let us scroll down. There we go. Okay. So paper packet again is blue. Online is yellow. And this was the very first week. And look, kiddos did really good. They turned in work. You can see right there right off the bat we have a mix of paper and online. But look, the 2 kiddos that did online didn't turn in their math or reading assignments. So again, it was pretty, and I don't have names for the purpose of keeping the kiddos' personal information protected. Here's all of these kids with packets. Again, we had to wait a week to grade them, and then they did not do writing or science. But overall, that first week, kids were motivated. They missed school. They missed friends. They were doing their work. But it was half and half of how many kids did packets and online. So the yellow is online, the blue is packets. So that was the first week. That was before we really sat down, could meet together, and develop an action plan. The next piece of data that I want to show you was collected about the 6th or 7th week, so April 27th. Prior to this, NTI was moving along. We were able to meet, but still at a distance, but couldn't plan as much as we wanted to. We were trying to Google Meet if we learned about it. And again, just working the best we can to meet those instructional needs without that teacher planning time or the certification that we would have with this NTI proposal action plan that I'm sharing with you. So again, the students that are in teal are the ones who completed online work, and the students that were in yellow were the students that completed paper packets. So just look at how the data changes here. Okay, so online, look, this kiddo had trouble. He was missing math. Lots of kiddos missing math online assignments. And again, I think our kiddos did a great job. They tried their best. They're at home. They're getting what they can do. But you can see more kiddos wanted to do online packets towards the end of that NTI, but they were still struggling to turn it in. So what can we do to motivate them? And that's some articles that I'm going to share with you in a minute. So look, all of these kiddos online, but look in the white, that's what they're missing. So these are the kiddos without names. Okay, again, more online this time, but they are still missing a lot of their work. So you can see that the motivation for kiddos to complete the packets, it changed, or they had excuses, they didn't have internet connection and we struggled. So that's why this action plan will help us be more prepared. So 2 articles I found. One was a video from a Corbin teacher, and it focuses on the importance of NTI if we are to have to start school like that. And then the other one is an ERIC document, and that supports ways non-traditional instruction strategies can be helpful. So I'm going to play the video for you first. It's really quick, but I thought it was really good and straightforward. So from Corbin Independent, how do you instruct students? What is the important thing? And here's
NTI days are important for districts because they eliminate a gap in instruction. And if you think about state testing, and we're all thinking about it, even if you don't want to, they don't care how many instructional days you have for certain tests. So for instance, the ACT is going to be March 12th, no matter how many instructional days you had before that. Same thing applies to AP testing. Not every test is going to be like K-Prep, and it's going to be the last 14 instructional days. So if you're thinking for testing, that gap's pretty important to eliminate. Also, in any student, you do not want to have a gap in instruction because they're going to lose information. So being able to continue with your curriculum is super important.
So again,
obviously, when you build an NTI day, you want some instruction and some assessment. Instruction without assessment will not tell you if a student actually learned anything, and assessment without instruction isn't instruction at all. So normally what I do, and we deliver at my district on an LMS, Schoology, I normally set up a camera and I just quickly do some instruction, or I go search out a YouTube video, or I might even place a reading up there. And my students will go on, get that instruction, and then they'll take an assessment. And that might be a 10 to 15 question quiz. It might be a question that I want them to answer. I had one important thing to say about NTI day work would be make the work meaningful for students. Make it important to your class. Include instruction. Don't just make an assessment. Make it to where the students are actually gaining information from the assignments.
So I felt like that was really good, just a good reminder. Even other districts, keep it simple, do a YouTube video, a reading link. That's the plan we would come up with as a PLC team, but make it meaningful and make it fun. I think because we were not trained enough on what do I do for this NTI process, what are good programs, and we were scrounging to get those, but now we will have time to plan and make that more meaningful. This ERIC document talks about if we have kiddos with those behavior needs, why NTI is good for them, but how you can make it better. Give them an inquiry-based learning activity, why that helps. Give them an adventure-based learning activity, motivate them. Service learning, help them go out and do something, give something to people, make something, but make it connect to the standards. Female Youth Initiative, have them do something in their community with women. Just different types of learning programs, keeping them engaged, how the social and emotional development can be affected during the NTI process or any non-traditional instruction. So I thought this was a good article of how to keep those kids that have trouble focusing, just keeping them busy, but make it meaningful and engaging. And you can look at that if you want me to email that to you after our PLC meeting. I'd be happy to do that. So this is where I'm going to go back after we meet together, and I'm going to reflect on our meeting today. And if you all have any suggestions or feedback of ideas that we can support our teachers in getting technology, or if you know a connection of ways to get technology into the hands of every student to make that feedback quicker, please let me know and get back with me through email. So the next steps, we'll do our parent survey, and then I'll show you an example of what that'll look like. And this is just from another district from Casey County Schools. And we can take the one that we used last year and kind of modify that. But I liked this one because I felt like it, what school do they go to? Do they have a computer? What kind? Because we know sometimes, depending on the device and the internet connection, they're not the best. Are they the only kiddo? What do you prefer, and how can we help you? Did you have any problems last year? So I think that we could modify that. We could contact them and make sure that would be okay. After we relook at the data that I shared with you all and pinpoint certain kiddos that did online, that did packet, we might want to reach out to them or their parents and see how we could grow for next year. We will keep that communication log, and we will get our training for our teachers, and we'll have specific days we can meet with certain kiddos. And maybe on Monday we'll do a Google Meet. On Tuesday we'll implement this lesson with an assessment that's meaningful. And I think that's a good start. So that concludes our PLC meeting today. I really feel like with the training of our teachers and getting technology into every kiddo's hands and working together and collaborating and pre-creating those meaningful lessons will help us start the year off more successful to close those achievement gaps. Thank you all for joining us today.